XRP has been slowly grinding higher on a short-term scenario. If we follow the price action, we do understand the fact that the price is right now showing some kind of divergence. Now, that's not positive, it's a negative divergence. So we want to actually understand what we would most likely do at this point. If you are looking for a better opportunity than the current price, now I'm not saying a huge drop in price and a macro drop. This will remain most likely a micro move where you may see a drop of 5, 6, or even 8% to the downside here, or max 10%. Fine. Now, what would this look like, and why would that create a huge opportunity in the market? You are watching a lot of them running up. And when I say running up, some of them are strictly big cap coins doing really fine, going through. And if you actually knew all these targets, it's actually breaking through all the targets. Target 1 done, target 2 done. You're going now consolidating further towards the next levels. And there's not just one asset, right? We're watching a lot of these are 100% up for the month. They're doing fine. If you knew where to look for and what to look for, these were real opportunities. So in that context, when you look at the market, I would say don't miss these opportunities. Opportunities are here to stay. And one of the primary reasons for that is something you need to keep in mind. This is happening at a time when the thought process in the market is moving like this, 48, 58, 68. So the thought process is towards 120K as for Bitcoin. And then we look at XRP and ask the question like how high or why should XRP run higher? And we see all these use cases coming in. And it's not just Ripple and XRP Ledger is preparing to take on these use cases. It's because the world want to use that. There is a big difference between that. So when the world is preparing for something like that, an infrastructure like that lays out the real platform for people to work on. That is one of the reasons why you see all these big institutions entering into crypto via Bitcoin, for sure, via Bitcoin. But interestingly, you're watching everything around what we have talked playing out like the music notes. Central banks are now in a tight position. They don't really want you to know how much money they're printing to buy gold because they know their fiat currencies are going to drop like hell. And if you hold assets, they are going to gain like hell. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. While we look at these assets, we need to make sure we understand the short-term, medium, and macro context. This gives you the ability to ride this asset as high as possible and to take profit at the right time. So if you are receiving value from this video, please do smash that like button for me. That supports the channel a lot. Now, when we look at the market, we do understand that things are evolving. We're getting new money. We're slowly moving up. In the last couple of weeks, we have already gained $200 billion in the crypto market, which is a good thing. Now, to avoid all the market noise, we can clearly use this chart. And this kind of indicates us a clear path where the price is moving. RSI on a daily is already here, which is a good news, which is a positive news. Usually, historically, when we reach there, we start to gather some pace, some momentum. Great. But what we do want to know is how does the same asset look like on a macro chart, whether a 3-day chart or a weekly. You have a long way to go to the upside. Now, remember, we are still waiting to see this breaking back higher on the context. And this week, that is one of the primary reasons why I'm saying this is super important. Candle close here is the confirmation that you break this trend line and you are entering back. If you get rejected and come back lower and end that candle day, it won't look good. Agreed. That's one negative. But All of these are aligning towards the direction where we are getting back into that trend line, and that's where biggest momentum came in last time. So to put that into perspective, that rally was around a 200% rally. That was something really good. So we are watching what the market is showing us. We understand the fact that weekly MACD is about to cross back to the upside. We are watching all the factors coming in line. This is huge. The issue here is not everyone realize what's happening. That is why when we go through the market, we try to break things down as easy as possible for everyone to understand. Now, the point here is, if you break this down, say you don't want to be too close like a daily, you don't want to be too far like a weekly, fine. I prefer 3-day chart. You won't get that in a trading view. You may have to use Coin Trader, fine. Here you come in, you take in the charts from Coin Market Cap, great. So XRP data from Coin Market Cap, great. Now, what are you really looking at? While you understand the fact that the price is breaking higher, it is showing you a clear signal that we are doing this, we broke higher. The micro measured move is this. You take that and plot to the upside, you see something like this, great. But short-term targets remain something like this. I would argue that we have some room like that. Say before we broke this level, we showed that we're going to go somewhere like now. It's not 100% accurate, but it was almost accurate. So I would say this region is something I'm looking at for the short-term move to the upside. Great. But before you move to that upside, you want to actually get into the weeds of this. You want to look at the price action and say, okay, what are we doing? If we do understand the fact that, okay, this was the starting point and we are almost completing that, we should expect some kind of correction. Great. Now, what should that correction look like? That is something to look for. Say, last time when we actually went up, this was a micro rally and we dropped. That was like, panic pushing it back to the downside in a micro accumulation range. So you cannot use that. I see some people putting that argument, but I'm like, that's not how you do that. You want to clearly look at this and say, okay, when we went up last time like this, the correction was back towards this level, which was at a depth below 0.618. Now you go back to the previous one. You want to make sure you use multiple data points and you put that argument like, yeah, 0.618 kind of works for this. Great. So at this point, if I'm going in on that and putting that argument, I would say, okay, this was that rally. If we want to come back down to 0.618, it's somewhat close to 0.53. Let's put a line there. What does that range signifies to us? That for me is like, okay, this has been the range of resistance previously. We should come back down there and bounce off. So if you are looking for an opportunity, this can potentially be one. Now, what should you be looking at in the RSI side of things? Because if you're looking at the RSI, I would say, okay, we have some room here. We are running ahead of time, at least on the micro time horizon. And you can look at the RSI reaching and hitting this level of resistance. So once we actually hit this level of resistance, usually you see some level of correction. So if you are a good guy looking at the market saying, I want to take benefit of this, this is going to be useful for you. Now, on a micro, if you are a wave guy, you would say, okay, 1, 2, and 3, you have completed the micro moves here, which we have seen in the past too. We had the 1, the 2, and the 3. We slowed down, right? So that slowdown was not coming back to the starting point. So that ended up like one microwave. Then you bursted for the second one. So that's actually great. Something good to see. The next one was here. So when we burst this time, we want to see how high we go. And that's where we are like, okay, we'll actually use this and say, okay, more or less, we have somewhat like $2 to reach for this run up. And we can kind of rely on that data. 1. 2, if you're looking for a medium-term target, you're like, okay, I think this is a possibility. I don't want to miss something like this when the price actually does this move. That's a decent 10x from the breakout of 0.4. Great. So you're talking about an all-time high scenario, the price discovery scenario for XRP. Now, yes, we all agree that the ROI will be based on your risk you're taking. Say you go on a meme coin and you get like 100x, but what's the odds that you actually make gains compared to the losing side, right? That's where things shift. So your risk adjusted return here in XRP is going to be sky high in my opinion, because I personally believe that the risk, now crypto itself is risky, but XRP inside that realm offers you much better risk off strategy because it has all these utility and the way the adoption is increasing. That points towards a future which is brighter. Now, when we look at that and put that argument, yeah, the price action should actually match that. But how long will it actually take? So if we are looking at this and asking that question, like, okay, we have already gone through a big phase here, which showed us this is over. Now we are trying to start this. Great. This is going to be one resistance. But what would it feel like when we have a measured move like this, breaking through that range, say a 10, 12x from there would actually point us towards somewhat like $20 plus. That is a big price action which we have to look at. That is a huge number too. Because when we understand the fact that, okay, that's going to happen, and then we will put the argument like we have somewhat like $7, $8 as a fib target, that means from where you are now, you have a long way to go. And a lot of people would, now, this is my argument based on my experience in the market. I've seen people entering the market, say 100K, 200K, and they went on to $2, $3 million. And they're like, Danny, my appetite is full. I cannot look at the profits fluctuating like this when the amount is this. I've never seen this amount of money. We went through that scenario last time in the Patreon, right? So if you are looking at these kind of scenarios where you want that one-on-one session, where you want all these calls with the clarity, when I say clarity, the real clarity, when it's going to the downside, when it's going to the upside, we were preparing you for what's happening. And for those who understood this scenario, now we are talking something same in terms of XRP. We are making this pattern while the RSI is going down, then you'll get a reversal signal for sure. But at that point, you need to understand, yeah, this can come. We may come back down to test that range before the next run up. So you need to know which assets are correlated with which group of assets. This gives you another added advantage in the market. Now, that's somewhat the basic thing for XRP. But in general, Bitcoin needs to break higher. This is kind of playing with the retail. Each time you push higher, the market makers come here and push the price back to the downside. Whoa, that's playing with the emotions. I can say that. But at the same point, you need to understand last time when the MACD was kind of crossing back to the upside, we were like, okay, this is about to be done. We are about to move higher. Now we are reaching that phase. That's some positivity for sure. That's some positivity. But we also have to keep in mind that as altcoin investors, we need to make sure we understand what Bitcoin dominance is doing. Because if the money flow is entering into this one, okay, all coins are suffering. But while you see this still trending lower, it tried to bounce off, but it did not break that trend line. And I'm like, whoa, that's good. Because if we do break this, we have some room to the downside, and all coins, a lot of them, will start moving up. Because this is again a short-term chart on the dominance chart. When you go on a macro, there is no argument. It's trending higher. It's trending much higher. But my question is, on a daily, what do you see? Now, I want you to make this judgment. I would say what I think, but look at this and say, when the price is running up like this, at a time when the RSI is showing this, for me, that means there is a potential possibility that you may come back down. Maybe to this level, maybe to this level. I really don't know. We'll have to watch when it fluctuates at this point. That for me means, okay, if you drop, that's a lot of history playing out. In the Patreon, we have shared this in detail, going back to the history, showing, okay, that's what happened last time. If we do this, That's going to be that much big of a altcoin season. Now, if that should happen at that point, maybe something like this is coming out. Maybe November, maybe December, maybe Jan. I really don't know. But when this comes out, price should tank in Bitcoin. At least on the short-term narrative, it should slow down before it actually goes back up, which would give a lot of altcoins room to run crazy. When I say crazy, that's why I always put the argument, this market season. Now, seasons will come, go. But when it comes, you want to make sure you get advantage of that. Not from the 0 to 100 everything, because that's going to push your limits, the risk tolerance to the end. You want to manage your risk. So you can skip some at the bottom, some at the top, and still be relevant in the market. If you want that kind of guidance, if you want to learn how we do that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, then it's in the bio. So guys, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, I would request you, please do that. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.